Yes, thank you. I hope you can hear me, and I hope you can also see the screen. We are going to do a four-part study on choices and decision making from the book of Ruth. Many people may have read the book of Ruth many times over, but I want to, as people who have seen my study, I want to give a slightly different perspective to this book of Ruth. And before I go into that, I want to talk about the choices in life. Zig Ziglar said this: "You are free to make the choices." Everybody, particularly today's youth, says, "It's my life. I want to choose." Okay, no problem. You're free to choose. But the choices you make today will determine what you will be, what you will do, what you will have in the tomorrows of your life. At the end of this landmark year 2020, I know that we have got a lot of choice. We are all free to choose. We are living in a free country. Nobody is forcing you to do what you want to do or what you should do. Everybody is free to choose. But we have to understand that the choices that we make today will determine what we will be, where we will work, whom we will serve, and what we will have in the tomorrows of our life. Now, I want to give a good background to this book. The book background, most people know this. Ruth is one of the four women named in the genealogy of Christ. And this is wonderful, as you can see. Ruth is also one of the two women to have a book named after her. The other one, of course, is Esther. So we have two women whose names are in the title of the book itself. Ruth is one of the four women named in the genealogy of Christ, and she actually has got a very rich heritage directly into the Lord. But what I want to present before you, my dear brothers and sisters, is the fact that this book, what is known as the book of Ruth, could well have been the book of Orpah, because there were two daughters-in-law, right? Orpah and Ruth. Well, it could well have been the Orpah, but she did not make the right choice. And that is what I want to bring to us. But having said that, this book then and even now demolishes three traditional myths. What are these three traditional myths that we have? The first myth is the fact at the time of moral depravity, there cannot be any love and loyalty. But if you look at it, this book was written at a time of moral depravity. If you want to know how bad or how uh, corroded the society was, look at Judges 21:25. In fact, the verse I really in some of the translation says everybody did whatever they wanted to. There was no sense of law and order at all. But at a time like that, with moral depravity at its lowest, or at its highest in a different sense, there is a beautiful demonstration of perfect love and perfect loyalty. Many of us, we think, the world is going nowhere. Is there good? Is there bad? Is there any signs of kindness? Yes, there is, for the people of God. So, written at a time of moral depravity, there is a beautiful demonstration of perfect love and loyalty. Now, I want to add the second one, the dil and the mill. Traditionally, the war or the arch rivals are the daughter-in-law and the mother-in-law. In fact, all jokes, all anecdotes are all on how the daughter-in-law and mother-in-law never get along together. In fact, in our own country, there was a very powerful prime minister who was very respected as a prime minister, but in her capacity as mother-in-law, there were a lot of things that she did which was leaving people with lack of respect for her, only in her role as a daughter, as a mother-in-law. So we don't see good mother-in-law, daughter-in-law combinations. But here, amidst that myth also is being broken through this book. Ruth and Naomi enjoy perfect relationship. That's the second myth that it demolishes. The third myth that it demolishes is uh, um, a woman of questionable background, Rahab. In fact, Rahab is a prostitute. Many people, you think that nothing good can come out of such a person. Well, a woman of questionable background, Rahab, gives birth to a wonderful son, Boaz, who is perfect character. So these are the three myths that it demolishes. At a time of moral depravity, there can be perfect love and loyalty. At a traditional rivalry, there can be perfect relationship. And anybody with questionable background, no problem. As long as you are in the Lord, you will have perfect character. But what I really like about this book is you just have to go to the main characters, their names in the book, and that itself will give you the storyline. Let me give it to you. Elimelech is the main character in the beginning. He actually dies at a very early age. But that name Elimelech is God is King. Naomi, who is the wife of Elimelech, her name means pleasant. And she really is pleasant all along. And she's a breath of fresh air in an otherwise gloomy situation. Malom, that is one of Naomi's son. He was sickly and he died at an early age. Kilo, another son, he also died of an early age. Whereas Naomi, at one point in time, she wants to be called Mara, which is bitter. But what I really like is Ruth. Ruth means friendship. And this book is a wonderful book on friendship. Orpah, the other daughter-in-law, is meaning stubborn and stiff. And of course, Boaz, the man who comes as a time in need, is meaning swift strength. Swift strength. So this book is about God is the King, about how pleasant people are, and how friendship is, and about strength is. Now we need to be very remindful of the fact that some people in good faith name their children a particular name, and the children live up to that name. In my case, what my earthly father intended, Anand, my heavenly father accomplished. I am joyful. But I can tell you this is not true in all the cases. I'll give you two examples. One is in my class, there was a person who was very thin. And he was really, so thin. We were wondering, a malnourished guy or whatever it is. And if you just push him like this or even do this, he will fall off. And the joke in the class was, don't put the fan in speed 5 because we will have an identified flying object in the class. This boy was so thin. He was my classmate. But what is very interesting is, guess what his name was? Samson. Can you imagine? That thin fellow, his name was Samson. Of course, I have another friend of mine, another classmate of mine, and I will not talk about her because her name is Sundari. And I think I'll not talk about her. Right. Let's go forward. And Bethlehem is the other name that we have, which is the house of bread. So follow through the names, and that itself gives the storyline. We take a step backward and look at who the Moabites are, because Ruth is mentioned 5 times that she is a Moabitess. Their origin, if you actually see in Genesis chapter 19, verse 36 and 37. They were one of the 2 sons, the Moab, who were born out of the incestual relationship that Lot's daughters had with Lot. The older daughter got a son, Moab, and he is the father of the Moabites today. In fact, the word Moab in Hebrew sounds from father. So every time you refer to a person as a Moabite or a Moabitess, you are actually bringing back the negative memory. And their condemnation was so much that they were not allowed to the temple up to the 10th generation. So if you look at Deuteronomy 23:3, no Ammonite with his other son, or Moabite, or any of his descendants may enter the assembly of God even down to the 10th generation. So that's the other background that we need to understand. But even though Ruth is a Moabitess, and the writer, I really do not know this side of eternity, why that background was emphasized six times. Ruth the Moabitess, bringing that painful past into being. If you look at Ruth chapter 1, verse 21 to 23, so Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by Ruth the Moabitess. They could have very clearly said Ruth the daughter-in-law. No, Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law. Chapter 2, verse 1 to 3, and Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi. And then if you see chapter 2, same chapter, verse 5 to 7, the foreman replied, she is the Moabitess who came back from Moab and with Naomi. Chapter 2 again, verse 20 to 22, Ruth the Moabitess said this. And chapter 4, verse 4 to 6, then Boaz said, on this day you buy the land from Naomi and from Ruth the Moabitess. And finally, in chapter 4, verse 9 to 11, I have acquired Ruth the Moabitess. Now I'll tell you, put yourself in the shoes. If somebody gives you your negative history, not once, not twice, six times, every time you're referred with your negative background, it can be painful. But I just wanted to put this in context, how the writer has brought this for us to recognize and understand that this woman of a negative background, of a shameful background, is chosen to be in the line of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amidst that, Ruth is a model woman. And I want to, in this first part of it, talk about the four characteristics of Ruth. Ruth. She's a real model woman. What are the four qualities that makes her a model woman? The first one is R. She made the right choice. In Ruth chapter 1, verse 16 and 17, you see the wonderful reply that she gives her mother-in-law. But Ruth replied, don't urge me to leave you and turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die. And there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if anything but death separates you from me. Ruth had become a young widow. Like all other young widows, she could have chosen another life, another husband, another family. But Ruth did not do that. She chose to cling on to this new God or this new faith with her mother-in-law. In fact, when Ruth refers to your God will be my God, she actually refers that God as Yahweh and not as Elohim. If you actually look at it in 1 Kings 19:2 or 1 Kings 20:10, the heathen, Ruth was actually not a Jew, the heathen would refer to God as Elohim, only the Jews would refer to their God as a Yahweh, but Ruth refers to God, which gives us an indication that by that time itself she had come to know the living God. In the ancient Eastern word, the belief was, and also the other thing is, in the ancient Eastern world, the belief was that there is an own place for everybody called Sheol. So where you die, you will be buried. Ruth's decision is therefore irrevocable and one with eternal implications. So you are shifting your eternal destiny. Of course, Ruth did not know at that point in time that she will become or she will meet Boaz, become the ancestral line for David and ultimately the Christ. And I really want to thank our brother Joseph for having timed this just before Christmas. So we see what is the lineage that we are having of the Lord Jesus Christ. Ruth, at the time of saying what she said to Naomi, she did not realize that this is the lineage that she will get. And what was Ruth's choice criteria? Ruth's choice criteria was to focus on the future, not on the past. She focused on the opportunities and not on the problems. She chose her own direction rather than join the bandwagon. And of course, she aimed for something higher than going for something that is easy. All these four qualities are interestingly also the decision making criteria for an effective executive, as is given by the father of modern management, Peter Drucker. But Ruth did this way before this was written. The second one, are you? She was utterly loyal. So if you see chapter 2, verse 11 of the book of Ruth, or chapter 3, verse 10, or chapter 4, verse 15, even though she is persuaded many, many times to go back, she is loyal, utterly loyal. And then if you see in chapter 2, verse 11, Boaz also gets to hear of her loyalty. I have been told all about you, what you have done for your mother in law since the death of your husband, how you left your father and your mother, your homeland, and came to live with a people whom you did not know before. May the Lord repay you for all that you have done. May you be richly rewarded. So Boaz comes to hear of Ruth's loyalty. And then, if you actually see later on in chapter 4, verse 15, the woman said to Naomi, praise be to God, the Lord, who this day has not left you without a kinsman redeemer. May he become famous throughout Israel. He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you and who is better than to you than seven sons, has given him birth. So when Ruth gets a baby, look at how the women are praising about her loyalty. She is a true servant. In chapter 2, verse 13, you can see, I continue to find favor in your eyes, my Lord. She goes and gleans like a servant on the leftover grain. You have given me comfort and have spoken kindly to your servant, though I do not have the standing of one of your servant girls. So Ruth is actually the daughter-in-law of Naomi, who is a relative of Boaz, but still when she goes there, she treats herself like a servant and she behaves and functions like a servant. Make the right choice, utterly loyal, and a true servant. And more than anything, she is a wonderful homemaker. Chapter 2, verse 2. Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, let me go to the fields and pick up the leftover grain behind anyone in whose eyes I will find favor. Where she said, listen, I need to take care of my mother-in-law. I need to take care of the household. I need to do what I can. A wonderful homemaker she is. And of course, she, with all these qualities, she fits in to the definition of an ideal wife in Proverbs chapter 31, verse 10 to 31. There are very few people in the Bible who actually fit that definition, and Ruth is one of them, the ideal wife definition. Now, in closing, I just want to give you this choice and perception. How do we choose make our choices? We make our choices with the information that we have, and that information is filtered with our awareness, our experience, and our expectation. But as you go forward, you see that this is the common thing. All of us have the same information, all of us have the same experience, but the cannot see or the ears cannot hear what the mind does not perceive. So I'll give you two examples. One example is, many years ago, this was in the early 80s, 90s, 1995 or 94, I think it was 95. Yeah, at that time I was working as a general manager for an American company called Hughes Network Systems, which was a subsidiary of General Motors. And we could buy any car up to at that point in time about 7 lakhs, which was a lot of money. The company and then Opel Astra was a German car, and it was a subsidiary of General Motors, and so we got about almost 10% discount because we were General Motors employees even through the subsidiary. So I was very keen to have that car. So I took that discount letter and I went to the dealers, and I asked them, is this discount just available? He said, yeah, take it to a dealer and he will give you the car from his stock. So I went to dealer after dealer in Delhi, and all the people, they gave me only the choice of white. And I somehow really did not like white, because in Delhi, most of the taxis were white. And I said, man, I'm paying 7 lakhs, and please understand, more than 7 lakhs. It was all, but the discounted price was 7 lakhs, and 7 lakhs in the year 1995 was a lot of money. So I said, I'm paying so much and I'm getting only a taxi kind of a car. So when I asked them, I want this Astra blue or Opel blue or that maroon color, they said, no, that has got a waiting list of 6 to 8 months. And I said, oh, are they trying to not honor the discount? They said, no, nothing to do with the discount. The color of the car that is easily available is white. If you want to take it, or you wait for 8 months. And then I said, oh, I really want it. But I cannot take a white color car. So my friend, they came and asked me, why do you want a white? Are you resisting a white? He said, no, I don't want to drive a white taxi looking car after paying so much. But some of my friends, they said, Anand, what is your problem? You're going to be inside the car. Anyway, with great difficulty, because the discount, I do not know if the letter was valid, although I had to go for higher authorization, American company. So I said, listen, I'm going to buy the car. So I took that discount letter, went to the dealer, and I bought the car. And I used to be very ashamed of the fact that I'm driving a white color car when I come out or get in. When I'm driving, it is fantastic, super luxury. So I went to Connaught Place and I parked my car and I quickly got out of the car and went into the marketing area. But as I was walking out of my car, I saw an Audi A, A4 white color. Audi is a much more costlier car. And I saw this is also white. And then I said, man, not bad. It's not that I've got a luxury car which is white, but there is another car which is white. Then I went in, finished my shopping, and I came back. And as I came back, I saw a BMW white. Wow. And as I was driving back to my home, I saw a Mercedes S-Class, and that too, not even C-Class, S-Class, which is the top of the line. That was also white. And then my perspective changed. And then I said, wow, this is a wonderful car. Why am I giving you this example? I'm giving you this example because eyes cannot see and ears cannot hear what the mind does not perceive. So if you have to change it, that car was the same car. It was the same white colored car. I was not at all happy about getting into or getting out of that white colored car because it was white. But the moment I saw other cars which are also there, my perspective changed. In exactly the same manner, Orpah and Ruth had very different perspective. So what they both saw the same situation. Orpah saw her widowhood, famine, a dead hope, and an old widowed mother-in-law. What did Ruth see? Ruth saw her youth, a new place, a new people, a great God, and a pleasant mother. Look at the contrast later on between the unknown kinsman and Boaz. The unknown kinsman who did not want to marry Ruth the Moabitess, he saw a Moabitess, a widow, and a lost inheritance. But Boaz at the same time saw a devoted lady, a woman of noble character, a relative, and a great heritage. So Ruth made her decision based on the future, not on the past, on a new God, a new place, a new people. Ruth based her decision on opportunities, not on the problems. Opportunities to serve, opportunities to learn, opportunities to grow. Ruth set a new direction and did not join the bandwagon like all other young widows. She set a new direction towards a new faith, new hope, new destiny. She aimed for something higher, not settling for something easy. She is going from Moab to Jerusalem, a place where Moabites are hated. She's going to live in a hostile society. She's going to work amongst unknown people, and she's going to settle in a strange land. But all this she did because she believed in the God of eternity. Anytime you make your choices based on solid values, life values, then you are in a better position to sustain your level of commitment because you don't have to re-evaluate its importance. So if the situation got further worse or situation got worse and people started calling her names, no problem, because her decision was based on solid life values, as John Maxwell himself said that. And with that, I want to hand this over to our brother Joseph.